Well, hi, it's been a while. The rains seem to have stopped, the floods have stopped, the bushfires have halted, winter's on its way out, and it looks like we might actually be ready to move on. It's a short video today, just to it's a show and tell, just to let you know where I'm at and what still needs doing. Interestingly, I did some pressure checking on the engine. Haven't actually run it yet. Reason being, I wasn't happy with the starter motor. So I ended up getting a high torque starter motor, which you'll see in a video coming up. And the chap I wanted to do this with, he's gone driving around in outback Australia in his four-wheel drive and won't be back for a couple of weeks. So I thought, also I've got my distributor, I've got some issues that I'm not happy with, so I've sent that away to for somebody to look at. And as I said, I haven't actually even tried to start it yet, but things just didn't seem right. I wasn't getting a good spark, and it wasn't a healthy spark. So when I was turning it over, the oil pressure's up. I think I'm getting about 60 psi, which is I think is good, and the cylinders are coming up at around, I can't quite remember this just looking at my phone because I wrote it all down at the time. Yeah, the four cylinders are coming up at around, with the new starter, they're coming up at around 100, 105, 110 psi. So I think that's actually not too bad. Because I've mentioned before that my head had a lot of cracks in it, and I TIG welded it up with nickel, pure nickel, and did all the cracks that I could possibly find, then machined to put in valve seats and all that sort of thing. So I never did get it pressure tested, but so I'm using the engine, the turnover, with a compression tool to see what sort of numbers I was getting. They're consistent. Now I've heard Rain Man Ray on one of his YouTubes say if you're getting over 90 psi, you're doing okay. So if anybody can correct me on that, that's fine before we actually do kick it over. Okay, so today's a show and tell. The fuel tank's finished, it's fitted, and I did pressure test that, and I had a couple little pinpricks of holes, air bubbles coming through, putting some pressure in and using soapy water. So they were welded up. I didn't think it was worth a video because they were just very extremely minor holes, and one little zap with the welder and they were gone. And then tested it again to make sure that everything had gone. So I'm happy with where I'm at with that. I did buy a radiator from, there's apparently somebody in Australia making them, and I'm getting it from, or I got it from the Healey factory, and they're telling me they're fairly close to original. It's all aluminium, which is probably better suited to our climate because there's better heat dissipation on that. So I want to take you for a walk around. I've got the car still on a rotisserie, of course, and I'm just about to drop it on wheels. So I've got the rear axle ready to go, and I'm just been looking for a nice day to do that, which happens to be today, but it won't actually be today, so hopefully there's more of these nice days coming up. So without any further ado, let's take a little walk around and see where I'm at, what I've done. One thing that actually took me days to sort out was the tubing the high pressure, well, the fuel tubing from the fuel tank to the fuel pump. And so I wasted about 10 meters of tubing. Well, not quite, but I wasted quite a bit with my little tube bender. You know, all of a sudden it just would crack the tube and or bend it at a, you know, at almost 90 degrees without the nice bend. So I lost a few on that until I think technique is what resolved that issue, to where I finally got one done, and I'm actually pleased. And that's why I left the rotisserie side, or the car side, on, so that I could show you that. So let's take a walk around and see where we're at and what we've done. Okay, let's do that. Okay, so here we are. I'll put the car right side up shortly, but I just figured you'd would like to see the underside of that. They're in their straps, and if you notice that strap ran right over those nuts, so I had to cut them clear of that so that I could get that all in. Again, you'll see that probably when it's right side up. So there's my copper tubing. Okay, and I had to elongate this hole here so that when you undo it you can lift it clear. Okay, because that's on a little olive and it's all tightened up solid. So I'll take you this way around. Okay, so you can see here that's the underside of the fuel tank, of course, and the drain for the fuel tank. Okay, now the tubing, so I'm coming out of the wall, okay, where the fuel tank is, up here. I then had to get a good swing, so I came up, a swing around, okay, over here, over this sharp edge. So I put some heat shrink here just to you know, stop any sort of vibration and you know, feeding or abrasion onto the tube. And so I come around here again. Here's another little sharp edge here, so again a bit of heat shrink just to protect that. Come around here and down here and into the fuel tank. So there's my inlet, and on the other side of that is my outlet. So there you can see that. So, and the reason I came up for a high swing up here was so that I could get a nice almost 180 degree turn back into the inlet, okay, and then to the outlet. So fuel pump SU, so that's all done up, and of course then the fuel comes around here and leads off into the front and finishes here on this, and then of course gets done up to the engine. These are all the fittings here for the clutch, okay. So again, side on. Now up here at the front, you probably can't see too much of that. Here's my the radiator. Again, that was just a straight installation, but I bought these brackets from the Kilmartins, okay, but I had to modify them a bit. I had to lengthen this one, and then I didn't have these brackets here either, so I made them up sort of in the same vein, gave them a twist, and then to connect onto the radiator, okay, a kick, and the same with the bottom, as you can see there, okay. And I've still got to fix the brackets down at the bottom end, make up new brackets for that, just to hold that. So that radiator came silver, and I got my mate Kenny to paint it, because he loves his paint. So he painted it for me, a nice gloss back, and reason being gloss is that it hopefully the dirt and mud or whatever can get on there is easy to clean off. Okay, so what I'll do now is I'll pull the car around right side up and then just take another quick walk around and to see how we're going. Okay, so I'll just stop there for a moment. Okay, just before I turn that over, I needed to show you something. Because the exhaust goes along here, this is where the muffler sits, in this area here, and goes off to the front. Okay, and so there's a bracket here. Okay, I don't know if you can see that, it's a little bit too much in the shade. So I'm talking about the exhaust bracket here, the leaf spring, and the other exhaust bracket is just here, and then it takes that bend. Now the problem is that this leaf spring sits right over the, I can't get the exhaust to sit in until the leaf spring is compressed. So I've got to put in the rear axle, the whole rear end, pull this, compress this spring, okay, so that I can get the clearance to then fit the exhaust system, which goes off into here. And I wanted to do all that before I drop it off the rotisserie. Okay, a couple of final things. These are the screws that hold the strap for the fuel tank, yeah, and another one of course there. So they're all in line, yeah, so that's it. So as you can see from this bracket here right up to there, this is all in the way. So the exhaust system I've got is has come from the UK, and it's all stainless steel. Okay, now I'm ready to turn it over. Okay, so here we are, right side up, there's our fuel connection. Okay, here is the sender, and the wire to that, just need to connect that up. So, and there's the two straps, okay, 1 and 2, and you could see I didn't want them sitting over the top of the nuts, so they're sitting beside it, and nice and tight, and connecting in basically following the line that it should. Okay, my fuel filler of course, and my rollover valve, which allows air in. So, one fuel tank, okay. Then just a reminder that this is all sound deadening, which is the Dynamat brand. There's a new handbrake handle. I've had to do a bit of, I didn't mention this before, I had to buy a whole new system. Okay, and so that's in, nicely wrapped, because it's all lovely chrome. But I had to do quite a bit of work in here to get it to seat, and to take the action of the handbrake properly. Okay, and this is the rest of the handbrake cable that came out. So that's just poked out of the way for the moment, until the rear end goes in. Okay, so that's going to be a job in itself, I think, putting in that back end. I've got an engine lifter in my ute, and hopefully I'll get a couple of guys to come over and help me, so to lift it up, lift one end and then feed it in. Might even take the brake drums off just to lighten the weight a little bit. So at the front you can see there, okay, my radiator sitting just nicely behind there, and up here, okay. I know this should be red, it was the original, but I can always put a little coat of paint on that on a later date. A lot haven't got it, but you know, a lot do. So again, just the walk around. I haven't connected up the steering linkage yet, that's this part here to there, because it's still longer than it should be, and I haven't actually resolved why it's longer, other than to say that these things, you know, if they are kinked around a little bit more, but I can't do that because this is sitting pretty much flush, you know, front to back, and if I needed to kick this linkage around a little bit more, then I'd have to shorten these, but these are actually the right length as well. So still at a bit of a loss as to why on the steering linkage I've got to shorten it a bit. So, and that of course gets connected from there to there, and I don't think it really makes any difference, you know, the fact that it's shorter, as long as my wheels are essentially straight, and you know, that they come around evenly, and then, you know, I can space them correctly in their splines to line up with my steering wheel. Okay, just coming back a bit. Okay, and that virtually takes us all the way around again. Okay, the handbrake system. I don't know if you can see in there what's going on. Okay, so you can see there my linkages and so on, how it's all connected up and tightened up and so on. Okay, so that all came fine in the end, but it took me a day or two to you know, modify this linkage here. You know, the guys in Melbourne sent me two, but and I had my original, and even then I had to weld up the hole, the one at the bottom, and then shift it up a little bit and graze a little bit off. It was just a little bit too long and rubbing on the bottom as well, which I didn't want. So that's it for that, and so it works quite well. As I said, it's just protected in plastic while a lot of other things are going on. The leaf spring, as I said, it's in the way of the exhaust system, so the whole rear end has to be put in, pulled up, and then I can put the exhaust system in, and hopefully I'm still fairly well balanced left to right, so that it will roll over reasonably easily. So that's it. Okay, and so the idea is that to get the car on its wheels, so then put the engine in, and then you know, have a running engine as well, so that I can just keep up with any issues that it might have, and then all the outside panels come on. I've got a new windscreen, but the surround needs a lot of work. The dashboard I've got inside, that's ready to go in, and most of the instruments are already in it, and so the seat backs I haven't got yet, but I was thinking of making them, but then again, Kilmartin's, you know, make them, and I don't think they're all that expensive. Okay, and that finishes the walk around. So this is the show and tell. That's finished, so I'll just back up, and it's starting to look like a car. Okay, so that's it. Thank you very much.